With Greg Norman continuing to nab superstars like Cameron Smith away from the PGA Tour, you'd think that someone like Jon Rahm would be at the top of his shopping list, but despite an onslaught of rumors linking him to a move, it seemed like the Spaniard isn't going to join LIV Golf anytime soon. Where did the rumors stem from in the first place though, and could he still leave? Well, let's find out. First up, Rahm shoots down a Twitter report about his LIV Golf move. Over the past few months, we've seen a ton of reports linking different golfers to a Saudi League move, and to be fair, these rumors have been true more often than not. Take Cameron Smith, for example. He was in the spotlight for a long time before he actually confirmed his LIV Golf switch. We mean, every single time he was asked about the speculation, he shot it down and denied it, but we all know how the saga ended. With Jon Rahm, though, things are a bit different. He's not the kind of guy to play around with politics and is straightforward with his answers, so when reports of his potential contract with Greg Norman started popping up, he didn't spare any time to just go straight in and deny it. Now, the thing with Twitter is that there are a ton of accounts claiming to be quote-unquote insiders, and even have guessed multiple signings before they were made official. One of them apparently is LIV Golf Insider, who claims to have nailed every single signing before. Rahm, on the other hand, had other ideas as he rained on the insiders parade by quoting the tweet and saying that they've now started a losing streak because, well, there's no truth to their report. Funny enough, the Spaniard also took an extra cheeky dig at the account by thanking them for the lift in the Player Impact program, which of course came as a response to LIV's investment. Up next, Twitter Insider not ready to let the rumor come to rest. One of the running themes of this entire Saudi League saga has been the fact that most players deny reports about them leaving the PGA Tour only to do the exact same thing a couple of weeks later. So you'd understand why people were still skeptical about Rahm's comments even though he was pretty clear with his stance. But then again, when you've been burned multiple times by golfers saying that they're not going to abandon the tour, can you really blame anyone for not believing them anymore? Like, it's kind of like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, except that we're talking about literally everyone here. Also, you gotta remember that the LIV Insider hasn't actually missed any of their predictions so far. We mean, they predicted every single move from Brooke Koepka all the way to Cameron Smith so far with astonishing accuracy, so there's no reason to believe why they'd be wrong this specific time. Oh, and then there's the fact that they're not willing to let the speculation die either. Responding to Rahm's snarky comments about the rumor, the insider said that they both know who the source is and what was said on the call, alluding to his talks with an agent, perhaps. The account then bookended its reply by saying that their record's literally perfect, which, to be fair, is accurate, so for all intents and purposes, you'd be inclined to believe the rumor mill here instead of the player himself, which kinda seems bizarre, but is probably correct. Not to mention, Rahm is apparently not happy with the tour's changes. Now, golf can be very political sport at times, and this statement's been proven to be doubly true over the past couple of years with Greg Norman pulling the strings and taking influence away from the PGA Tour. That said, there seems to be some sort of internal conflict within the association as well. Apparently, some golfers aren't too pleased about the tour's new direction under the stewardship of Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. Like, of course, getting more money is great and everything, but there seems to be some disdain about the fact that Woods and McIlroy hold so much power, and the 27-year-old's allegedly amongst the group as, even during public interviews about the new changes, he's been making some backhanded comments about asking the two poster boys about the direction instead, implying that he doesn't feel important anymore. On top of that, we've also been hearing that despite the PGA's claim that all members unanimously agreed to the proposal, there are actually quite a few unsettled golfers. As a matter of fact, different insiders claim that 4 players out of the original 23 who attended the big meeting with Woods have already made their minds up to leave the quote-unquote Rory Tour. Obviously, all of this could just end up being smoke and mirrors, but just the fact that the same information's coming from several different sources, there's probably some degree of truth to it. After all, there's no smoke without fire. What's more, the Spaniard can't qualify for the elevated events. The biggest draw of the new-look PGA Tour is the fact that they're going to have these elevated events for some of their top members. And in a way, these are super similar to how LIV Golf sets up its invitationals with massive purses, so there's definitely a ton of incentive for golfers to perform well and get into these special tournaments. But there's always a caveat with things like these. You see, even though these events will come with $20 million purses, golfers would actually have to compete in at least 20 PGA Tour events to get in. Now, if you know anything about golf, you'd know that 20 is a pretty high number in the single season, especially especially if you've got commitments outside of the tour, so players like Jon Rahm who are associated with both the PGA and the DP World Tour are essentially barred from taking part. Why, you ask? Well, the thing is that Rahm simply can't fit so many tournaments into his schedule, and according to him, setting such a high bar as a minimum requirement is just a bit too much. Like, he's gonna play in Europe during the fall season, plus there's the Ryder Cup coming up next year too. We mean, even if you took a look at his record this year, he's competed in 17 PGA Tour tournaments since January, so to fit everything in such a tight schedule is probably going to be impossible for someone like the Spaniard. Next up, Jon Rahm is different from others who've joined LIV. Okay, so remember when we said that golfers have turned into the boy who cried wolf? Especially after players like Koepka and Smith outright denied their LIV Golf involvement right before joining it. Well, you can kind of take Jon Rahm out of that category, you see. The 27-year-old has made it clear time and time again that he's pretty happy with his current earnings on the PGA. Besides, to be fair, being one of the top golfers in the world, he probably makes a ton anyway. He's outright said that while a $400 million contract is definitely a life-changing amount for most people, he's not too bothered by it. In fact, he could retire right now and he's perfectly satisfied with the money that he's made so far in his career because he doesn't play golf for money and wants to leave a lasting legacy. On top of that, he's also got that dislike for the Saudi League, kind of like Rory McIlroy, and according to him, the PGA has done an amazing job to adapt to changing situations and taking care of its members. Also, he doesn't seem to like the LIV Golf format anyway. Oh, and then there's the fact that he's also kind of close to the PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan, whom said he was dealt a pretty rough hand with the COVID and the whole Greg Norman drama, so it'd be weird for him to just abandon the guy after feeling so sympathetic towards him. Finally, is Rahm even a good fit for the LIV? Despite the fact that the Spaniard probably isn't too pleased with the PGA Tour's new direction, there's no denying the fact that his loyalties still lie here. We mean, we've seen him criticize the Saudi League so many times that it'd be almost comical if he were to actually make a switch. Like, he'd be absolutely destroyed by the media for being a hypocrite if he changes sides. Also, he's been super clear with his wording so far as well. Take the Genesis Invitational earlier this year, for instance. When asked whether he was going to join Greg Norman's league, the 27-year-old responded by saying that he's officially declaring his fealty to the PGA Tour and doesn't believe in the Saudi League's project one bit. But then again, a lot can change over the span of 7 months, so who knows? Besides, with so many reports coming out of the rumor mill, there's definitely enough evidence to think that he's at least held talks with Norman. After all, at its core, LIV Golf isn't much different from the New Look Tour anyway. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think that Jon Rahm is going to join the Saudi League? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.